It's a Monday radio on the early line, fresh for the week on the SportsGrid Network. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Why is that? Well, did you watch Sweet 16 and Elite 8 action? If you were like me, did you turn the game off? Maybe too early that had a sensational comeback between Duke and UConn. Did you enjoy yourself this weekend also watching Major League Baseball? Oh, yeah, there's hockey and also the NBA and the NFL telling you, get ready for some replacement refs. It's a great Monday to be here. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. This is the early line, and we are ready to give you the fuel for that fire this week, Joe.
Donnie, you got it. As they say, are you not entertained this time of year yet? Because, my goodness, this weekend had a little bit of everything, including some police news on Friday, Donnie, in my neck of the woods. Kind of funny stuff, yeah?
Don't flip the car over. You need that, Joe. You need to get going. You need the energy. You need to have a close lead at the end of the game. Talking to you, Duke. Here's Caffeinated Joe. Bring me that hot topic. What is it?
All right, Donnie. So, as baseball guys, you and I, the first full weekend of the new Major League Baseball season is officially in the books. And let's talk about the absolute superstar of the opening weekend, shall we? No, it wasn't a player. It was the brand new automated ball strike challenge system. And let me tell you, it is doing exactly what we all hoped it would do. And by the way, the fans absolutely loving it. The players are using it, and the umpires, well, they are officially having their worst nightmares broadcast in high definition. Because if you have to know exactly why the umpires union fought so hard against this technology for years, look no further than what we got at the Great American Ballpark on Saturday afternoon. Because longtime umpire C.B. Buckner was behind the plate for the Reds and the Red Sox, and, well, he put on an absolute masterclass in why, well, human umpires need robots looking over their shoulder. Buckner had count them, folks, 6 different pitches overturned by ABS. It got to the point where the Cincinnati Reds went 5 for 5 on challenges in just 2 innings. In the 6th inning, he tried to ring up Eugenio Suarez on back-to-back pitches. And, of course, Suarez tapped his helmet, challenged both of them, and he won both of them. And the loudest the crowd got in years at the Great American Ballpark. And the Reds walked it off, of course, in extra innings. And, by the way, Buckner just absolutely had to own his terrible calls here. But here's the catch. Because with this, not only do we turn umpires over, but the Red Sox found out the hard way, yeah, those 2 challenges, you may want to make sure that you're going to be right if you do, because they fired off a couple of challenges earlier in the game, Donnie, and they didn't get them. So they had no recourse at the end of the game when, of course, they could have used those in that game, and they didn't. So Buckner keeps missing calls. The Red Sox had absolutely no recourse. And then, of course, Trevor Story gets rung up on what was a check swing that nobody could actually ask for help. Why? Because he embarrassed the unplayed umpire. That's why. When I tell you, Donnie, absolutely outstanding. The ABS system gave us the exact receipts that we need to prove that we're all not crazy. That these umpires, some of them are better than others, and some of them have no right being in Major League Baseball. And I can't imagine being against this system as a fan, Donnie. The pace is fantastic, the pace of play. It's not slowing the game down. Only takes a few seconds. And you know what? We get accountability and actually get the calls right. Pure entertainment value here is just another reason, Donnie, why folks, well worth paying the price of admission to go see a Major League Baseball game again.
I think they rolled it out perfectly as well, Joe, because what you're saying is typically in the NFL, we're trained to, it's a fumble. They show a replay. Yeah, that should be overturned. Let's go to commercial break for 3.5 minutes and then have them explain it to us when we get back from commercial break. They tap their head. The ump turns around, looks at the booth. There is a challenge. And under 10 seconds later, you all watch it together simultaneously to see if it's a ball or strike. And by the way, you brought up something also about the fans that are watching this. I think it's sensational, and I think we need more of it. But how about this? There's still a product of the environment that goes, it's not baseball. If it's close, I mean, what's the big deal? It's human error. Okay, so let's flip it over to basketball. 3-point shot to win the game. Look, his toe is on the line. Look, man, it was close enough. We called it a 3, even though his toe was on the line. How about the NFL? Touchdown. No, recall, take that back. the nose of the football hit the goal line. It was close enough. We said it didn't cross the goal line. No, that's not the way things work in sports at this point. How about hockey, Joe? Puck goes across the line. Well, it barely made it across the line. No big deal. We're just going to overturn it anyway. Nonsense. Get the call right.
Yep.
That's all we asked for. Great topic, Joe, to start us here off on the week. Now we get to the early lineup, the hottest topics across the sports landscape, which me, Joe, I saw Duke pummeling UConn. All right, Duke's on its way to the Final Four, and away we go. I checked the scores later to see how much Duke won by. I saw 73-72 UConn. I said, what? I had to go back and watch the replay. Meltdown City, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, heading into that game, Donnie, I think 134-0 were number one seeds, went up by at least 15 points heading into the second half of games in the tournament. Now, 134-1. And I mean, kudos to UConn, but I think John Shire has a March problem with Duke, and they better figure that one out sooner rather than later.
How about Rick Pitino and St. John saying, Ricky, stick around. Have this job as long as you want to. By the way, Carnesecca had a long run there at St. John's as well. Looks like Pitino going to do the same. 29-30 is when that extension expires. How about that one?
Yeah, but he's still not making as much money as the guy that just pulled off the unbelievable upset of the century there with UConn and Hurley. So, but hey, listen, kudos to Pitino, man. I mean, the Johnnies are back, and that is a good thing for college basketball.
UCLA women advance to the Final Four for the second straight year. Not just the men playing right now to get to the Final Four, Joe.
Shocker, right? UConn. Wow. Stop me if you've heard that one before there, Donnie. That's also going to be actually pretty good. We all thought UCLA versus UConn, right, for the championship, and that's exactly where it's heading.
How about the Boston Celtics coming into the season, trading some players, that salary cap, trying to watch out for Jason Tatum, probably not coming back? It is what it is this year. Just won their 50th game here, the fifth straight time they've done that, which is wild. What an organization.
Yeah, they are just cruising, Donnie, to say the least here. They're starting to gear it up here, starting to get Tatum. I mean, the fact that Tatum's even back is just kind of crazy here. But, yeah, no Jaylen Brown, too. We're able to still get it done there yesterday. And now they got a pretty big one here tonight as well against Atlanta, which could be a preview of what we get in the postseason.
East is going to be very interesting once we come down to playoff time here. Max Verstappen, you heard that name? Yeah, that's F1 racing. He goes, you know what? 28 years old, got a ton of cash. Maybe I will retire. I'm not enjoying the sport as much. You know what that means? Sponsors reach out to me, pay me a little bit more, and I will love this sport once again.
Yeah, he'll be. But money talks, everything else walks, Donnie. We know that. And Verstappen's one of the best to get behind the wheel in F1, and I doubt very much he'll be going anywhere anytime soon.
Gary Woodland here wins the Houston Open, even with the battle of PTSD. How about that one? A nice dub at this point. By the way, does that put him now into the Masters with that victory, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. I mean, Woodland, one of the old school guys on tour. The last time he won was 2019, and I believe that was shortly after he had brain surgery. So, I mean, just unbelievable story what he has gone through over the last, 5, 6, 7 years. And the fact that he was able to go pretty much felt like wire to wire in that tournament this week. And so happy for the guy. One of the real good guys on tour for sure.
How do I sign up for this, Joe? Replacement refs in the NFL, which could turn into be full-time refs here. The NFL hiring 150 to 180 officials from D1, D2, and D3 to replace the refs possibly for the upcoming season. Just can't come to an agreement, Joe, on a new CBA for those refs.
Listen, at that point, get the YMCA rec league guys on retainer. What's the difference here, Donnie? It's all going to robots anyway at some point.
Yeah, D1, D2, or D3 football players should be able to sign up. Hello, maybe I'll be a new referee in the NFL. What a Monday hot start here. It only starts to continue to have fun. Stay with us.
Parlays are pretty much the reason that FanDuel and DraftKings were able to become profitable a couple years ago. Think about a straight bet that someone places on a sports book, usually about 5% hold rate for a sports book. A parlay, it's about 20%. So there's a reason that all the promos you get, all the advertisements, all centered around parlays.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So why is this? The bigger question, Kevin, that we should be asking is, why is this happening now? This could have happened last week. Could have happened the week before. It is goodwill season, Kevin. It is goodwill season. We want to make sure the fans are buying those tickets. We are committed to opening day.
I like that.
We are committed to spending them. I mean, look, it is what it is. Like, this is what you do to fire up the fan base.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
What does the deal look like? That's where it changes. It all changes at that point in time because you've got them where you want them early, or at some point, even late. And you're making a decision based on opportunity, based on staffing, based on program. And then all of a sudden can you just call my agent to get this deal done? And when you think you have a deal done, you don't have the deal done anymore.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
First listed here at 44%. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Bryson DeChambeau combined. Tie at 32%. And Yannick Sinner down there at 30%. So where do we do? How about that? Who will win more, Joe? Combined effort. Combined effort.
Yeah. Combined effort. I don't know.
I like it.
Scheffler going to have to get it going here.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
Lines that you need to know right here on a Monday to get your week started off in style, and that's going to include some Final Four action. And by the way, Joe, had a nice little respite yesterday. I said, you know what? A 2 o'clock start and a 5 o'clock start here on a Sunday afternoon spells ratings. Both of those games looked like they were headed for a blowout, but as we know, and we'll go over, UConn was not ready for that blowout, overtook Duke. That was a crazy scenario. But, Joe, we have the Final Four on the horizon. And I don't mean to get angry. I don't, because I will be watching it. So will everybody else. One game starts at 6:09. One game starts at 8:49, which means after 9 o'clock. What are we doing with our entire day? Why can't we have, Joe, a 2 o'clock and a 5 o'clock Final Four for all to see and all to enjoy? Forget about that for now. That's for a topic a little bit later. How about Illinois and UConn? How about that? It should be Illinois and Duke, but UConn with a tremendous comeback. And now we see, Joe, a minus 2.5 point line at the opening number, still sitting at minus 2.5 in a lot of outlets. But also, Joe, I'm seeing minus 1.5 in the marketplace right now as a slight favorite towards Illinois. Connecticut and Illinois also with a total listed of 139.5. Game one, Joe, of the Final Four this Saturday. What's that early spread line?
It's kind of interesting. Kind of tells you that maybe the seeding in the committee, did they get this wrong, Donnie? Because last I checked, that's a 3 seed that's a favorite on a neutral court over the 2 seed UConn there. So I'll be interested to see where this line goes throughout the week, given the fact that 2 teams that are not in a rush to go anywhere. These are 2 teams that certainly can play some defense. The 2 teams that, yep, they like to get their own rebounds. They like to avoid teams actually getting their rebounds. It's just a styles make fights, and this is one of the more interesting ones, I think. And yeah, a lot of Illinois became the public darling somewhere along the line here, but I think UConn might go off as a pick'em more so than maybe Illinois going off as a 3 or 3.5 point favorite before we get the tip.
And by the way, we talked a lot here on the predictive markets, Joe, where you said, hey, what's the combination of the 2 seeds that are going to meet up in the final? 2, 3, 4, 5? You are already going to have at least a 3 or a 2 show up there, which would have cashed that ticket for over 2, which means as long as you didn't have 2 number 1 seeds meeting in the final, you were going to make some money here, and congratulations, you're going to do that. Michigan and Arizona. Boy, you won a great game here as well in game number 2. You got it. Michigan here opens up, Joe, as a slight minus 1.5 point favorite over Arizona in a total of 157.5. Both of these 2 teams rolling into the Final Four, a fantastic Final Four just setting up. But Michigan and Arizona, Joe, what's that early spread line for you?
Well, it's unfortunate because a lot of people thought this was the national championship game, or should have been, but they got to go through one another, Donnie, to get there. But still, a lot of people think whoever wins this game is eventually going to be your national champion one way or the other. Whoever wins this game is not going to be an underdog to the other side, no matter who wins that, too. So keep that in mind. But I thought Arizona might open up as the slight favorite here, Donnie, and they didn't. It seems to have gone towards Michigan. And the more you dive into the numbers, listen, it makes sense, right? Because Arizona does not shoot the three very well. They don't shoot it very often. They're all about dominating inside the paint. And I don't know that they're doing that against this Michigan team is huge. They, too, like to dominate inside the paint here. I do think points could be coming in this game, though, Donnie. So the total seems very interesting to me. I think it's only going to keep rising. So if you're looking at an over, sooner rather than later, I think, because this number is just going to get closer to 160, I think, before it's all said and done.
How about being the head coach here, looking at May on the sideline? So proud of his son splashing three-point shots late in that game. But let's hear from the coaches after that Michigan game.
We're extremely proud of our guys.
There we go.
The way they competed against a story program like Tennessee that's as well coached as anyone in the country, against a team that has battled all year and really improved as the season's gone on. But our guys have been up to the challenge to deliver at the in the biggest moments all year, and nothing changed tonight. But just to be proud, we're all just very proud to be a part of this group.
We're obviously disappointed. We think that we're better than what we showed today, and we sort of, the game was kind of where we had it in the first, 8 to 10 minutes, and then we picked up 5 quick fouls, and it got away from us, and give them credit. But just so proud of our guys. They've had a phenomenal year. Obviously, when you get to this point and you don't move on, it's extremely disappointing, especially when you know you weren't at your best and you know you need to be at your best this time. But proud of these two guys here, and Grant. Grant was a guy we brought back to help us maintain our culture with the locker room, and Felix has been amazing. And I thought Jacoby in the year just endeared himself to Vol Nation, and he was fearless today. And but just unbelievably proud of this team. Really, we've gone through a lot. They've stuck together to get us to this point, and there's probably, 50-some teams that like to be here today where we are even after a loss, and so I'm proud of their effort, and we want more. There's no doubt we want more. We want to break through this thing, but you got to get here first, and just so proud of the effort these guys gave it this year.
Changing up on Spreadlines here. A couple little video clips added in, Joe. But let's flip it over quickly to the association, the Bulls and the Spurs. There are multiple games tonight with 2 touchdown favorites, Joe. So let's get right into it. The Spurs at home, 18-point favorites over the Bulls. How about that spread line, Joe?
Yeah, and you know what, Donnie? It's probably not high enough.
Man.
I mean, who are we kidding here? The Bulls are in full tank mode there, and they couldn't even beat Memphis over the weekend. So I doubt very much they're going to put up a big fight in San Antonio. They are strictly playing out the string and playing all the young guys, Donnie, just to see what they have for next year. So team total for San Antonio up and over for me.
Let's get another one involved. Pistons and the Thunder. Ooh, that should be close, 2 or 3 points. Nope. Take a look at this graphic, Joe. Minus 13.5 for the Thunder at home. How about a spread line here?
Yeah, well, let's just look at who is not playing in this game, which is just about everybody right now here for the Detroit Pistons. Yeah. Everyone is questionable. Half the guys, Duran and company, have already been ruled out, so they have no intention of actually putting their best foot forward here, which is why you're seeing OKC, even on the second of a back-to-back, why you see them here, Donnie, a 13.5-point favorite.
And by the way, we got a good one tonight in Major League Baseball. Maybe an ALCS preview here between the New York Yankees and the Seattle Mariners. A slight favorite to Seattle here. More college basketball talk. What happened in UConn and Duke? Back and find out next.
Parlays are pretty much the reason that FanDuel and DraftKings were able to become profitable a couple years ago. Think about a straight bet that someone places on a sports book, usually about 5% hold rate for a sports book. A parlay, it's about 20%. So there's a reason that all the promos you get, all the advertisements, all centered around parlays.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So why is this? The bigger question, Kevin, that we should be asking is why is this happening now? This could have happened last week. Could have happened the week before. It is goodwill season, Kevin. It is goodwill season. We want to make sure the fans are buying those tickets. We are committed to opening day.
I like that.
We are committed to spending them. I mean, look, it is what it is. Like, this is what you do to fire up the fan base.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
What does the deal look like? That's where it changes. It all changes at that point in time because you've got them where you want them early, or at some point even late. And you're making a decision based on opportunity, based on staffing, based on program. And then all of a sudden can you just call my agent to get this deal done? And when you think you have a deal done, you don't have the deal done anymore.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
First listed here at 44%. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Bryson DeChambeau combined. Tie at 32%. And Yannick Sinner down there at 30%. So where do we do? How about that? Who will win more, Joe? Combined effort. Combined effort.
Yeah. Combined effort. I don't know.
I like it.
Scheffler going to have to get it going here.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a Monday Fun Day right here on the show. It's the early line. It's Donnie Rightside and it's Joe Renier. My goodness, what happened? Sensational Sweet 16 and Elite 8. No Cinderellas here, people, in the Final Four, which I love to see. Ratings should be high, and away we go. But I was watching that Duke-UConn game yesterday going like, man, it's another blowout in the day. Second blowout of the day. Tough times here. Shut the game off. How about this? Number one seeds were 134-0 and leading by 15-plus points at halftime. So like me, I said, they're probably going to be 135-0. Nope, 134-1. Why? Because UConn came all the way back and won that basketball game 73-72 to knock off the number one seeded Duke Blue Devils here and advance into the Final Four. What an incredible game, Joe. What an incredible collapse by Duke.
That's why they call it madness. And we've said it. And I got to tell you, Don, I mean, up to that point, it had been chalk fest in a big, big way. We weren't even getting competitive games here. I mean, Tennessee did not show up in any way, shape, or form the game prior to that. And even the night before that, Donnie just kind of yawned, right? Just the chalk, chalk, and chalk. Purdue couldn't deliver. And so you're going with a 15-point lead at the half, Donnie. You're watching that game, and I had UConn. But, you know, when they went 1 of 11 from 3 in the first half, that was really the difference. Now, granted, Duke held teams to just about 30% from 3 on the season. Had UConn just shot 30% from 3 in the game, just average, Donnie, they would have won this game by double digits. I mean, that's how ridiculous a difference it was from the perimeter in this game. But ultimately, ironically, it's the 3 that sticks the dagger into Duke by UConn, who couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat from three-point range yesterday.
Crazy triple as well. And understand this, Duke had a 2-point lead with seconds left to go. They inbound the ball. Why are you advancing it down court? Hold the basketball. They'll run over and hack you. You make your free throws, the game is over at this point. And even if you don't make your free throws and miss, it's a full-length court heave as opposed to a relatively makeable long-distance three-point shot. Unbelievable stuff, but UConn moves on 73-72. The other semifinal, you saw the graphic. Man, Michigan looks like they're on display saying, this is why we're a number one seed here. 95-62, an absolute runaway victory over Tennessee. It's a very good SEC team here, and you even had the bench players playing 3 and 4 minutes late in that game, firing and making threes, Joe. Michigan made a mockery of Tennessee.
Yeah, no, Tennessee, it just, congratulations, Rick Barnes. Once again, you get to the Elite 8 and you can't do anything with it. So Yeah, that's a problem here. But again, we kind of figured that this is what we were going to be looking at, right? Arizona, Michigan. How anybody discounted UConn, I don't get, simply because, listen, they've got experience, they've got championship DNA. And now, when's the last time Hurley lost a game in the tournament that didn't cover the spread? Like once, I think. Over the last 4 years, UConn expects to be here, and UConn is there as a number 2 seed. It's the Illinois team I find fascinating.
Rick Pitino gets paid here from St. John's, and rightfully so. But understand this, too. In the recruiting battles, you need every edge. Hey, Rick's only signed for 2 more years. He won't be there to see you your junior or senior year. Got to give him the extension like in football. That's what they did. I don't think he's going to coach till 2030, but you got to give him the extension just for the appearance purposes.
Yeah, give him the extension, second highest paid coach there in the Big East, right? So, right behind, guess who? One and only, Mr. Hurley. That's the whole point. So, yeah. But 2 best coaches happen to reside maybe in the Big East here. I don't know that John Shire, after another collapse, can be considered one of the better coaches in college basketball right now.
How about Gino upset here, Joe, from The Athletic? Gino Auriemma criticized the NCAA's tournament setup, calling out the 2-region format for the women's bracket. Look, how about this? How about we just don't play the women's brackets anymore? Because every coach is unhappy every single time we watch.
Yeah, it really is kind of crazy, Donnie, right? And were they Phoenix now? Yeah, now you got to go. Yeah, I don't know. Is it UCLA having to go east? Is it UConn having to go west? What's the difference? You got plenty enough time. You're in the Final Four, Gino. You're good to go. You're going to have to beat UCLA anyway to get it done, which I'm sure they will.
Yeah, here's the difference, too, as well, which I always bring up. We're trying to get the most eyeballs we can on your separate tournaments here. We're always going to watch the men over the women. So what do? Well, wait, let's put it on at the same time. Like, you can't stagger these tournaments so the women get a share of the spotlight as opposed to saying, no. Run them up same time, we'll be just fine. So if the coaches are mad, I'm mad at what they actually do at this point. But by the way, Gino, what is he? They roll everybody anywhere. What's the purpose of you changing the tournament in any way, shape, or form, UConn? Who cares, right? That's what they say. More hot topics coming up next. It's the Early Line right here on a Monday.
Parlays are pretty much the reason that FanDuel and DraftKings were able to become profitable a couple years ago. Think about a straight bet that someone places on a sports book, usually about 5% hold rate for a sports book. A parlay, it's about 20%. So there's a reason that all the promos you get, all the advertisements, all centered around parlays.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So why is this? The bigger question, Kevin, that we should be asking is, why is this happening now? This could have happened last week. Could have happened the week before. It is goodwill season, Kevin. It is goodwill season. We want to make sure the fans are buying those tickets. We are committed to opening day.
I like that.
We are committed to spending them. Look, it is what it is. Like, this is what you do to fire up the fan base.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
What does the deal look like? That's where it changes. It all changes at that point in time because you've got them where you want them early, or at some point even late, and you're making a decision based on opportunity, based on staffing, based on program, and then all of a sudden can you just call my agent to get this deal done? And when you think you have a deal done, you don't have the deal done anymore.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
First listed here at 44%. Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Bryson DeChambeau combined tie at 32%. And Yannick Sinner down there at 30%. So where do we do? How about that? Who will win more, Joe? Combined effort.
Yeah. Combined effort. I don't know.
I like it.
Scheffler going to have to get it going here.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
A little NBA action here and talk on a Monday. Yes, I understand Major League Baseball opened up this weekend. Yes, we understand the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight and looking forward to the Final Four. But have you been paying attention here? Orlando hasn't been playing basketball all that well as of late, and the Raptors are a decent team sitting at 42-32. How about this from ESPN Insights show? The Raptors beat the Magic by 52 points. It's Orlando's largest loss in franchise history and Toronto's second largest win, other than beating by 53 points over Golden State on April 2nd of 2021. Magic, man, what's good? There's no magic in the Magic, Joe.
No, in a game that Brandon Ingram was ruled out, was scratched late in this one here, and Orlando trying desperately to get back on track because it looks like the play-in series for them, if anything, at this point. Yeah. But how you get that embarrassed is just ridiculous. And to have, by the way, everybody available to them. So it wasn't like Boncaro was a scratch, Desmond Bane was a... Nope, they had everybody, and it was over before the game even started, it felt like there. So not good by the Orlando Magic. Kudos to Toronto, but when you start the game being outscored 38-20 in the first quarter, that's pretty much all she wrote there.
Yeah, what they call setting the tone here for the rest of the game. An absolute smash job, 50-plus point win there for Toronto. But how about those Boston Celtics, Joe? We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. This was a season where you really didn't know what to expect from the Celtics, but we didn't expect greatness here. Could they make a playoff run? Maybe they would. But now 12 straight seasons that Boston has made the playoffs, the longest active streak in the NBA in a season that was supposed to have turmoil.
It's not turmoil when you're winning, Donnie, and that's exactly what's going on there with Boston. So all they held down the fort until Tatum could get back on court, and now that he is there, it's kind of smooth sailing. Now, if they can just keep Brown healthy here heading into the postseason, they're very much alive in a very, let's face it, weak Eastern Conference here, where everyone else might have a couple of injury concerns as well.
Let's hear from the head coach here, talking about Tatum's 30-point effort.
No, I mean, I thought, he did a good job just getting to the spot that he wanted. Saw a bunch of different coverages tonight. He was able to kind of diagnose those. He played against drop, played against switching, played against the double team. I thought he made the right play when it was necessary. Tonight, only 5 rebounds, so we got to get better at that. But I thought he did a great job, on the offensive end. Just diagnosing the different coverages and making the play that was necessary.
Those Celtics here, favorites, Joe, to win the Eastern Conference, checking at a price point of plus 180, followed by the Cavaliers at plus 270, the Knicks, Pistons, Hornets, and those healthy Philadelphia 76ers at 26-1, Joe. But those Celtics, plus 180. Some things never change, it feels like.
Well, and they have not been the favorite at all. I mean, Detroit was up at the top of that list for, most of the season. I mean, they still have Detroit, one of the best records in the East, but without Cade Cunningham, looks like there's some doubters in the market, because last I checked, they still are 4 better in the win column here than Boston or anybody else for that matter. So Detroit, maybe a little not enough love in the market right now.
Giannis Antetokounmpo here missing the playoffs in Milwaukee, Joe, for the first time in a decade. Now, look, maybe you can't have half your roster with the last name Antetokounmpo and expect to have depth and build a winning strategy. They, talking about the Bucks, have tried everything to keep their superstar happy, but now superstar is not even making the playoffs in Milwaukee. Is there a rebuild? Is there a trade coming up? But Giannis, won't see him no more.
No, I mean, 29-45 is not going to get it done on the season here, folks. And you were supposed to build around him, and you didn't give him anything. The front office has failed him. Ownership has failed him. Doc Rivers has failed him. So I don't blame him. Get me out of here. You guys aren't capable of putting winners around me. We got to go.
Now, if we had odds, which we probably will in some of the predictive markets on Giannis Antetokounmpo staying in Milwaukee or going here, if you're about championships, you're not winning another one in Milwaukee. It's pretty clear at this point. But also, Joe, the facade of, tell him I want to trade. And then, I never said I wanted to trade, and I love Milwaukee. Hey, get me out of here, agents. I never want to leave here. Now, Joe, is he leaving this summer? He's got to be leaving, right? Makes the most sense for the organization and the player, no?
I can't see him coming back. I mean, you're going to go through this again next year? Like, what are we doing here at that point? Just, I'm shocked he was not traded before the deadline this year, but now more people are going to be able to get involved for the Giannis sweepstakes. He will push himself out of Milwaukee before next season.
OKC looking to do it again, go back-to-back in the NBA here. Helps out when you pick up wins during the regular season. OKC, Joe, 111-100 over the New York Knicks. And we actually have some video here for SGA saying, man, we locked in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we just hunkered down defensively in the fourth quarter. They threw zone at us in the fourth. It kind of like stalled us a little bit. But other than that, offensively, we got quality possessions, made the right basketball plays, and were able to extend our lead.
Brunson, Joe, at 32 in the loss. SGA with 30 points here, and also the Thunder, again, are going to play tonight, but a double-digit victory at home over those New York Knicks.
Yeah, Knicks just can't beat the Thunder. I mean, that's it. The Thunder have their number, and the Knicks, they got some issues here, and I don't even know if they're going to be able to beat Detroit. Who are we kidding? Detroit seems to have owned them this year, too. So Knicks could be a day late, dollar short here because they clearly can't compete with the elites of the NBA.
Nightcap last night, Joe, in elevation was the Denver Nuggets taking on the Golden State Warriors. Final score 116-93. And maybe the elevation did finally get Golden State because you look at the second half, a 40-21 third quarter win by the Nuggets, and then the fourth quarter 30-19 win. They just ran out of gas, the Warriors, apparently.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Donnie, Denver lost everyone. Aaron Gordon was a scratch. Peyton Watson yanks his hamstring in the second quarter there. Cameron Jordan, he also has to go back to the locker room. They lose him to start the third. They were about as shorthanded as possible, and yet Golden State still couldn't take advantage of it. After having a big lead at the break, too, couldn't do anything in the second half, and Denver ends up winning.
8 games tonight on the slate, Joe, in the association. A lot of these games with some high numbers, but we just talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder knocking off the Knicks by double digits. They're back in play today again at home to take on the Detroit Pistons. This line overnight, Joe, opened up at 14.5. Slight little drop in movement here to 13.5, but still roughly a 2-touchdown favorite for OKC over the Detroit Pistons here. By the way, Cade Cunningham, when are we getting this guy back into the lineup, Joe? Any news on that as well?
They're hoping by the postseason, Donnie, but your guess is as good as mine with that injury there. But when you look at Detroit and who's already on the injury report here today, Duncan Robinson, Tobias Harris, Austin Thompson, Jalen Duren, they may not play anybody in this game, which is why you're seeing the line creep to double digits here and beyond. So, yeah, looks like it might be one of those scheduled losses for Detroit here in this game.
By the way, Joe, we've heard so much about the NBA and, social media. They like to sort of crowd test or crowd source some of these ideas. 3 terrible ideas by the NBA on trying to curb tanking at this point. The reason I bring this up is you're looking at a game tonight. This is March the 30th. You have one game, Phoenix Suns and the Grizzlies, 13-point number. You have the Bulls and the Spurs, an 18-point number. You have the Cavaliers and the Jazz. And by the way, the Cavaliers are on the road, Joe, 17.5-point favorites. The Oklahoma City Thunder, 13.5-point favorites. Oh, we're not even done yet. The Wizards go out to L.A., 16.5-point favorite for the Los Angeles Lakers. This league is just wild at times, Joe, specifically when you have teams trying to make the playoffs and teams going like, yo, we want nothing to do with this season anymore.
It's laughably bad on this here. The fact that we have these kinds of numbers here and only 2 games in single digits, and yet one of those teams, how they're even a single-digit dog is beyond me since they've lost 7 of their last 8 and can't hit water. They can't stop a nosebleed here, the Miami Heat. So, you lose to Indiana last night, and somehow you're barely a dog. They should be a double-digit dog tonight.
Curb the tanking here is what we like to say. But Tom Vecchio is going to join us next year. What did he find out opening weekend in Major League Baseball? Come on right back and join us. Let's have some fun.
Parlays are pretty much the reason that FanDuel and DraftKings were able to become profitable a couple years ago. Think about a straight bet that someone places on a sports book, usually about 5% hold rate for a sports book. A parlay, it's about 20%. So there's a reason that all the promos you get, all the advertisements, all centered around parlays.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So why is this? The bigger question, Kevin, that we should be asking is why is this happening now? This could have happened last week. Could have happened the week before. It is goodwill season, Kevin. It is goodwill season. We want to make sure the fans are buying those tickets. We are committed to opening day.
I like that.
We are committed to spending them. I mean, look, it is what it is. Like, this is what you do to fire up the fan base.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
What does the deal look like? That's where it changes. It all changes at that point in time because you've got them where you want them early or at some point, even late. And you're making a decision based on opportunity, based on staffing, based on program. And then all of a sudden can you just call my agent to get this deal done? And when you think you have a deal done, you don't have the deal done anymore.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
First listed here at 44%. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Bryson DeChambeau combined. Tie at 32%. And Yannick Sinner down there at 30%. So where do we do? How about that? Who will win more?
Yeah.
Joe? Combined effort. Combined effort.
Yeah. Combined effort. I don't know.
I like it.
Scheffler going to have to get it going here.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball in full swing. Oh, it feels good to say. And here in the city of brotherly love, we're in full swing, which means striking out most times at the plate. I'm ready for an exciting, action-packed season. Donnie right side, Joe Ramirez. Welcome in. Tom Vecchio here. A couple days into Major League Baseball season, Tommy. How we feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's been a fun start to the season. It's obviously been a very unique start where we had a 3-day rolling opening day. MLB taking a play out of the NFL playbook in terms of expanding opening day over the course of multiple. But, we're off and running. It's good to see things get moving. It's good to see some of these young hitters especially step up. But I'm ready to roll.
It's crazy to see, too, because I don't mind it, I should say. Like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But it's just kind of odd where you're used to, Tom, like handicapping games on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Every team is playing in Major League Baseball, particularly on Sundays, and we technically didn't get that, and that's okay. But big news going around, not who's playing well just yet and who's not playing so well, Tom. How did you feel about the opening weekend here with the ABS system from what you watched?
I thought it was good. I'll be honest, I've been on the right side of it a couple times where Roman Anthony challenged a hit I should say he challenged a strike ball call at the Reds. It was called the ball, and then Trevor Story came up and got a hit, and I needed Story to get a hit, so I was on the right side of that. I assume along the line, I'll be on the wrong side of it, and that's fine. But, taking things into account over the course of the entire season, I'm not really worried about it. How I feel about it in game, I think it creates a lot of tension. I also think that we're seeing that the umps aren't terrible. They're missing calls, but it's not as dramatic as everyone envisioned in their head where they're off by feet. Where it's he missed the call, but we're talking about less than an inch, and it's pretty good when it's all said and done.
Yeah, very good there. I'm wondering, you think Bichette's wishing he stayed in Toronto? Because after 3 games, I don't think they'd boo him in Toronto, but the Mets in New York are a totally different animal, aren't they?
They are. I saw the quote from him after the game where he said he's surprised it took this long considering he's 1 of 12, 1 of 13 with 11 strikeouts, whatever it is. But I think he wants the tension. He always seemed to me like a player where he wants the spotlight, and when he actually shines in the spotlight, then that's when Mets fans will see that he is truly the player that they signed. But to see him off to a slow start, it doesn't surprise me. I'm not going to say they face the best pitching because they didn't against the Pirates, but where he is in the lineup, I have no doubt that he'll turn things around. The lineup's too good for him not to produce.
By the way, with all those strikeouts, I mean, he should have signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. He'd be at home right there like, good. Everybody else can get booed too, so at least I'm not sticking out like a sore thumb at this point here, Tom. But opening here again, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Give us some teams that you had your eye on here, maybe some pluses, maybe some negatives here that you saw from this opening weekend.
Pluses or teams I've had my eye on would be the Tigers and the Royals lineups that we've spoken about plenty. Donnie, you and I, looking at what we're going to be getting from some up and coming teams. I would say at least teams I think are on the rebound, like the Rangers. Always going to be interested in what they do. Twins surprised me a little bit, getting a lot of runs across the board against the Orioles. I am very low on the Twins this season, so that is interesting. The Brewers are off and running again, which is, again, not a surprise to me because they're playing the White Sox. I am low on the season overall, the Brewers, that is, but, man, the White Sox are looking terrible.
We got some games here today. One that when I was scanning the board, I was laughing, Tom, because I'm like, wait a minute, Walker Buehler is still pitching? Apparently so, for the Padres, taking on Leonard Rope there of the Giants. But the Giants, they seem to be in midseason form hitting-wise because, they can't hit here. So, I don't know. Do we give them the benefit of the doubt? What do we do here?
I like the Giants today on the money line, and it's really just because we're getting plus money and the combination of Walker Buehler, who, to your point, why is he still pitching? He's still pitching just because the Padres are still dealing with injuries, and Joe Musgrove is still out, Yu Darvish is still out. But to give me the Giants on the money line, we look to Walker Buehler. He had a 6.6 ERA in spring training, and I know that's a small sample size, but if you look to his xFIP, it was still almost 4.2, so he's just terrible. The Padres lineup is a lineup that I'm actually low on this year. I think there's a lot of talent in there, but the range of outcomes for the Padres is too vast. I will take the Giants in somewhat of a bounce back after a slow, drawn-out first series where when it's all said and done, their pitching didn't look that bad. Right, giving up 3 runs and losing 3-0 to the Yankees, not that bad. Just because you can't score, that's a different story. But I think the Giants get on the board. I think they get their first win today.
Have we go down to H-Town tonight, Tom? Boston Red Sox taking on the Houston Astros. Ranger Suarez going to make his Red Sox debut today. The lefty who came over with a big free agent deal from the Philadelphia Phillies. Going to take on Lance McCullers, looking to regain his form, Tom. Total in this game listed at 8.5. Slight favorite here to the Red Sox. And also, in Houston, it's about 75 degrees today. So question is going to be, is that roof open or closed as well? Any looks tonight for Boston and Houston?
Well, we certainly hope the roof is open just for a little bit of better hitting weather. Looking at the Red Sox game yesterday, I see that as a game they should have won or could have won. Really great pitching from them throughout, and then Eugenio Suarez comes up and hits the home run, and they lose that game. But looking at this matchup, Lance McCullers wasn't good in spring training. Some of his results seem good when you have a 3.38 ERA, but when we look to that, the xFIP, and the xFIP is over 6. He's overperforming by 3 full runs, essentially, and he is due for some massive negative regression. And really, Ranger Suarez on the other side is a solid pitcher. If we were to look at this game and it was in Boston, I think Boston would be pushing out past 140, minus 140 as a favorite. So if I can get Ranger Suarez and the Red Sox, who really have been off to a good start this season, it's only 3 games, I like them at minus 118 or so.
Suarez was great on the road last year, and he's always been good on the road, but now he's in the American League, right? But he's on the road. I mean, what do we think we're getting from him here?
So to see him be good on the road outside of Philly in years past isn't too much of a surprise, knowing how good of a hitter's park Philly can be. And the same thing is going to be said about Boston. Once he starts pitching in Boston, we'll obviously get that sample size. But really, if this is a point of inflection, so to speak, we're going to have a good indication if Suarez can just pick up where he left off of last year and the years past. Because once he has to pitch at Yankee Stadium and pitch in Toronto and pitch at Fenway, he may struggle. And the time to like back him would be the time he's on the road, essentially. And we fade him when he's at home, right? Where we can take first fives on the road, we can take full games on the road. But when he's at home, that's actually when we want to avoid him. So this may be the first spot. And again, if we actually believe that and the Red Sox continue to push out to be a good team, some of these lines may not be minus 118. They could start being minus 130 on the road. And we'll take advantage of the best lines that we can early in the season before the public and the books get on it.
9:40 tonight, Tom. Your Yankees on the road to take on Seattle. Maybe an ALCS preview here. What are we thinking? Weathers versus Castillo tonight, maybe.
I'm thinking we're going to get a little bit of runs early. I think the bullpens will shine. The starting pitching may not be as good as people realize.
Tom Vecchio, always shining here on the early line. Thanks for joining us today. Tom will be with us all through Major League Baseball season, giving us those updates. But for myself and Joe Ranieri, we'll be right back after this short break.
parlays are pretty much the reason that FanDuel and DraftKings were able to become profitable a couple years ago. Think about a straight bet that someone places on a sports book, usually about 5% hold rate for a sports book. A parlay, it's about 20%. So there's a reason that all the promos you get, all the advertisements, all centered around parlays.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So why is this? The bigger question, Kevin, that we should be asking is why is this happening now? This could have happened last week. Could have happened the week before. It is goodwill season, Kevin. It is goodwill season. We want to make sure the fans are buying those tickets. We are committed to opening day.
I like that.
We are committed to spending them. I mean, look, it is what it is. Like, this is what you do to fire up the fan base.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
What does the deal look like? That's where it changes. It all changes at that point in time because you've got them where you want them early, or at some point even late, and you're making a decision based on opportunity, based on staffing, based on program, and then all of a sudden can you just call my agent to get this deal done? And when you think you have a deal done, you don't have the deal done anymore.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
First listed here at 44%. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Bryson DeChambeau combined tie at 32%. And Yannick Sinner down there at 30%. So where do we do? How about that? Who will win more?
Yeah.
Joe? Combined effort. Combined effort.
Yeah. Combined effort. I don't know.
I like it.
Scheffler going to have to get it going here.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
Oh, we're going to get instant reaction, instant feedback. You know this in Major League Baseball, particularly in the big cities. Philadelphia, you want to sign a high-price deal here, come into town. You don't start off so hot. The fans will let you know about it. Also, you know how that happens, Joe? In the Big Apple as well. Bo Bichette is owning his season-opening slump, 1-for-14, asked if he expected boost so early at Citi Field. Bichette replied, if anything, I thought it took too long. We got some video of it here as well.
The boost catch you off guard at all, or can it come to the territory at this point?
No, if anything, I thought it took too long. But I mean, I get it. I thought my bats were terrible too. So.
Nah, he's a turncoat. Had agreed to a deal with the Phillies, backed out of it. Love to see him striking out a lot, but then again, I can't even bask in the glory because Bryce Harper is doing the same exact thing as him as well. But booing at Citi Field because Bichette can't get out of his own way, Joe.
1 of 14 with 8 strikeouts. So you have, and some terrible strikeouts at that. So, you have basically in more than half your at-bats not put the ball in play as a 3-hole hitter on the New York Mets. Not a good start to the season, but patience, but he learned a valuable lesson, right? You're in New York now. You're in that New York market. You can hit 350 all you want. If you go through a stretch where you go 1 for 14 and strike out 8 times, you getting booed. I don't care what you're hitting at that time, Donnie.
Well, also, I guess he doesn't want to go up against the Toronto Blue Jays either because their starting pitching staff is going whiff, and whiff. Lauer had 9 Ks. Cease had 12. Gaussman had 11. 50 Ks through 3 games versus the Athletics. The most ever to start a season in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah, the key is versus the Athletics. Yeah, that rings true there, Donnie. Not expecting a whole lot from the Athletics here, or maybe we're expecting too much from the Athletics. But yes, good start for Toronto. Still some question marks, though, about the back end of that bullpen, but still plenty of baseball left to play.
Hone your game, hone your craft here. And umpires, it's not that hard. If you've been around Major League Baseball and umping for 20-plus years, you should know the strike zone. But apparently, some of these umps don't know the strike zone, which we've always known for the past decade. But now we're finally getting to see it in real time here. Longtime umpire C.B. Buckner had 8 calls challenged and a whopping 6 overturned on Saturday. Love to see it, Joe. I do.
Listen, accountability, and more than anything else, Donnie, the reaction from the fans in that game at the Great American Ball, they loved it. It became laughable. They were having a great time. In fact, I think the pitcher said, I have never heard this stadium this loud ever. And they were cheering every time they get a call right and overturned. The fans got into it. And if that keeps pace, yeah, this could be one of the best additions and rule changes we've seen in a very long time.
Look, kids don't really play baseball down at the local field anymore by themselves unless it's an actually league game at this point, Joe. But how many times have you done that where the catcher called the strikes? Strike, no ball. And yeah, you might have argued with the catcher at that point here. Maybe we'll get back to that at this point until we get a true ABS throughout the entire game. But it's been fantastic to roll out, and it's done exactly the same, Joe. Here's what I worry about, to be honest. We're going to start to say, ooh, you know what? If we do take a commercial break, or if we do sponsor these, delayed an extra 5 to 10 seconds, how much more money we can make. It's perfect, Joe, the way it is. And honestly, all you have to do on a strike is it lights up pink that you see right away on the scoreboard and you cheer, or if it's just blank, that's how you know it's a ball. I think it's fantastic, which means, Joe, Major League Baseball is going to mess this up, aren't they?
Yeah, well, let's hope not. Let's hope they can just, get out of their own way, Donnie. And that would be, let this play out. The fans are embracing it. And really, that's all that matters. Because who thought it, Donnie? The fans just want accountability, right? Just get the call right, and we're all good to go.
That's it. No, nobody's going to get upset, Joe. At the end of the game, if there's a strikeout and you cheer, and then they review and it's like, oh, it actually was a strike. That's not fair. No, nobody's going to say that's not fair. Like, I guess it was a strike, and umpire missed it and had to recorrect the call here at this point. How about the Blue Jays manager, John Schneider, returned to his office last week and had an envelope waiting for him. Who'd that envelope come from? Steve Kerr. Quote, I don't know you, but I feel compelled to reach out after watching your incredible leadership on display during the World Series. He was a joyous loser there at that point, so I do got to give credit. I don't know if I would have handled it that well that the manager for Toronto did, but hey, Steve Kerr said, you know what? I'm going to reach out and tell you. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I would have wrote him back, too, and said, hey, Steve, I don't know you, but hell of a job to blow that lead last night in Denver with only 3 healthy guys for the Denver Nuggets in the second half. Well done, by the way. Very well done.
I mean, you got Draymond on podcasts. You got Steve Kerr not paying attention to his team, writing other managers in their losses here in the big game here. What is this world coming to? I'll tell you what it is. It's coming to hour number 2 right here on the early line. So much more to get to, which includes Evan Walsh from Game Time Decisions going to join us shortly as well. Stay tuned. As we said, an action-packed hour number 2 to get your week started in style on the early line, right here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm DRS, he's Joe Ranieri. And again, we got some fun coming up this hour. Already told you before the break, Kevin Walsh from Game Time Decisions is going to join us here, have some fun, talk some NBA action, some college basketball, and much more. And also, Prediction Markets Edge coming up in a couple segments here to get you that information on a better way that you might be able to invest, Joe. But so many hot topics over the weekend to get to here. Love Monday shows the energy is always high. And also, we'll try to come up with some more winners today as well, Joe. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Still got a lot going on, Donnie. We got one more college basketball tournament, by the way, getting ready to start this week, in addition to the Final Four. Yeah, and the NBA playoffs will be here before we know it, as well as the NHL, by the way, the Stanley Cup playoffs. So this is a fun time of year and a lot going on, especially now that Major League Baseball is back.
No doubt about it here. So let's get into those hottest topics here and get to the early lineup, which deals with UConn. Unbelievable. And I said this already, Joe. I watched almost the entire first half and said, this is kind of boring. Let me do some other things. As I was starting to wind down my night, I go, let me just check to see how much Duke won by. Duke lost that basketball game 73-72 in an unbelievable finish. And by the way, we have some answers here, Joe, from both of these coaches. Let's hear from them.
Yeah, listen, I obviously that's, just an epic, just another chapter in the UConn Duke NCAA tournament. Dramatics. Obviously a really tough way for their season, to end. I thought they played great. I thought they punched us in the mouth with incredible force. The Boozer boys. I mean, I've been admirers of their approach to basketball. I mean, all I've ever watched these guys do, is just win everything that they play in over the course of their career and grassroots, and then what the impact they've had on Duke, and obviously across the board. Just their program. You couldn't have more respect for. John Shire and what they've done since he's been here. But I think for us, the story was just that game was a reflection on the season. It's been a season where we've been dealt with injuries to key players at critical points of the year that we've had to overcome. And we've had to show a lot of fortitude and resilience and just kind of claw our way through the season. And thought just the game was a microcosm of that. Just we fought, we clawed, put ourselves in position to take advantage of a mistake that they made. And, one of the most brilliant shooters that you'll ever see shoot a basketball, made an incredible, legendary March shot.
I'll just say this.
Go ahead, Coach.
And then if there's not questions, let Cam, he'll answer and go. It's cannot be more disappointed and feeling for our guys at the same time of, just trying to process what happened. I don't have the words. What I do know is literally this team, what each individual player went through just to play the game. I've never seen anything like it. What these guys did to have to get ready, their foot injuries, he's got a black eye, he's playing the whole game. And I'm incredibly sorry for these guys that they got to go through this. This is on us. We're going to be in this together. And the year that this guy's had has been absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I don't have words other than just how proud I am of these guys and how disappointed we are.
Joe, Duke's had incredible talent even over the past couple seasons, just not able to cash in that ticket at March Madness, which shows you how tough it is in a single-game elimination tournament. Even if you're the best team out there with a large lead, crazy things can happen.
Listen, now it's back-to-back Duke collapses where we have said, Donnie, they have the best team, and yet they can't get out of their own way. We saw it last year with Cooper Flagg and Con Knippel. Like, how did you not get past and make it into okay, Houston, you gave up a, 7-point lead in the closing seconds in that one, and now you blow a 19-point lead there. John Shire better figure it out, because I don't know how many more of these collapses they're going to handle here at Duke.
Been a long time also at St. John's for them, at least getting to the Sweet 16, and now you see themselves. So, Rick, come on back to 29-30 season here. I don't know if he's going to coach that long, but a feel-good story right here. The Don staying in New York.
Yeah, let's just make it to the 30th of next month, shall we, Patino? I think, listen, more than anything else, well-deserved. Everywhere he has gone, Donnie, we have seen this, put Iona on the map. He's going to go ahead and, he's going to bring back one of the best blue blood programs there in the Big East and the St. John's. That's what Pitino does. And that's very much like Parcells did for many, many years there in the NFL. Whatever they touch, they make better, and that's exactly where they're at.
Exactly. Put Iona on the map. Kevin Walsh will join us in a little bit and tell you exactly how Rick Pitino did that and brought joy back into Iona here. UCLA women, they advanced to the Final Four for the second straight season, doing big things out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, shocker. The two best teams there, UConn and UCLA, will likely be battling for the national championship, which is kind of what we all thought and hoped for anyway. The two best teams in women's college basketball, it feels like they're destined for a championship match.
Celtics here supposed to be in a gap season. We'll just see how it plays out. You know, it might not be a bad thing to tank the season, get a high draft pick, and then come back full blast the next year. And here the Celtics are, 50 wins on the NBA season, the fifth time they've done that here in a row, and also 12 straight times into the playoffs. The Celtics, Joe, not just looking to play around right now, the favorites to win the East.
Yeah, which is crazy, too, because they're still 4 games back of Detroit here in the final stretch. But, hey, it's all working out perfectly. They bought enough time, Donnie. We're competitive enough to wait for Tatum to get healthy. He's now healthy, so they are going to go into the postseason, with everything they could have hoped for here. Shocking and disgusting at the same time.
Max Verstappen, only 28 years old, saying, Joe, maybe I lost the love and I could contemplate retirement. Let me understand one thing here. You have a race car that goes hundreds of miles per hour. You need to be locked in, Joe. You can't be not enjoying your sport here in a machine that goes that fast.
Yeah, and one of the bougiest sports of all sports, Donnie,
Terrible
in the
sport,
world.
by the way.
I'm sure, all the parties and I'm sure you're just getting bored. Yeah, all right, take a couple of weeks away from it, and then we'll get back. Somebody will give you twice as much money, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, F1 racing, look, hey, it might be big worldwide at this point. I'm sorry, I just can't get into it at this point here. Gary Woodland, he's getting back into the swing of things here, including winning golf tournaments, Joe, fighting PTSD, and also getting back in the mix here. That's a dub down there in Texas.
Just one of the, and kind of just runs away. What can you say about a guy? His last win, 2019. He has brain surgery. He's got PTSD. 41 years old, comes on the tour and gets it done, Donnie. Just truly one of the best, no matter what happens, one of the best stories of the year for sure.
The Masters coming up shortly here in just a few weeks. We'll be able to rock and roll there. And also the question's going to be, Joe, is Tiger Woods going to play in the Masters like we thought he was going to? Now going through some legal troubles with the NFL. There's always going to be some legal troubles out there. So you know what they're doing? 150 to 180 replacement referees are signing up from D1, D2, and D3. They might need to come in and fill in for the refs who want more money currently now in the NFL.
Yeah, it feels like the NFL's more than happy. Just another excuse to get those AI refs ready to go here, Donnie. And boy, oh boy, what's the difference? Who's on the field wearing the zebras if the calls are coming from the eye in the sky anyway?
Not for nothing. I understand, referees and what they do, but it's not like the NBA where you're all, you have 18 work weeks basically a season, and what do you want, $1 million a piece? Get a hold of yourself. Get out there for the love of the game, people. That's what we're talking about here. We love doing it right now. Kevin Walsh is going to join us next, people. Stay tuned. Monday morning early line edition. So many things, so many hot topics here going down last week, which includes the Major League Baseball opening of the season, ABS, Sweet 16, Elite 8, and NBA action, all wrapped up into one. It's your boy DRS along with Joe Ranier. We welcome in Kevin Walsh, bright and early here on a Monday, ready to get things started here. Looking good, looking fresh, looking ready, Kev. Come on, we need the excitement this week. We do. You got it?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Got in just in time to hear you.
Yeah,
it was like the bat signal,
only
right?
truth.
Like you pretending like Rick Pitino lifted Iona up. We're at the point now where basically I could argue Rick Pitino ruined Iona basketball, but I don't think that's the lead story that people are kind of at the edge of their seat for.
I mean, there's talks of Iona going down to Division III, joining the New Jersey Athletic Conference at this point, in shambles up there at the Heinz Center. But that's not what we're really talking about today, Kevin. I do want to talk to you about this. Like, for me, I love the fact, and you know me, like, games are on at certain times, make me happy. I was able to watch those games yesterday. A little boring there. Michigan rolling away, and I tuned in a little bit late in that one, but I started to stick it out, and it was fun the last couple of minutes. Coaches, kids getting chances out there, like to make a wish, knock down some threes in some big moments, and have some fun. But I got to be honest. I watched the entire first half of the Duke game. I was like, man, I was hoping for a good game. It wasn't there. And I told the story already on the show. I turned it off, came back on later, and just went to Twitter to see how much Duke won by. Kevin, shocked that they lost that game.
Yeah, I mean, classic DRS, right? Like, I don't think, you like to call yourself the common man. I imagine most watching are in like, yeah, I also turned off the Elite 8 game between Duke and UConn.
Yeah.
What were you doing? You certainly weren't doing anything better.
Like a lot of baseball yesterday, Kid. A lot of baseball at that time. Come on now.
You've got 400 screens in front of you. You absolutely could have left Duke UConn up in the corner. It was an incredible comeback. The halftime line was 12.5. So it was a question. It was like, the books were like, yeah, UConn will play better in the second half, but they're not going to win this basketball game. And slowly but surely, every three made by UConn felt like it was worth 4 points instead of 3. And people are like, oh, what a tough loss for Duke. I stand by it. This isn't their worst tournament loss within the last 2 tournaments. The Houston game, to me, is still even worse. I know it didn't come with a dramatic shot, but it was a better basketball team with an even more improbable choke job. So just a crazy scene, and Hurley does it again.
What cracks me up, Kev, is that if they just shoot average to even what Duke has held teams from 3, which is about 30% this year, they win that game close to double digits, UConn. They had outplayed Duke. If it wasn't for the 1 for 11 start from 3, that was the difference in the first half. And then all of a sudden, they basically came back and won a game by dominating them inside the 2-point range. It was that dominant of a UConn game where, it came down to a pass and a crazy 3. But had they just shot average, they probably win that game going away.
Yeah, I like UConn in the game. I actually like UConn in the region. One of the, I got 50% of the Final Four. I assume most people got at least 50% of the Final Four because of the 2 1 seeds that made it. The thing is, and listen, Duke ended up being what I thought Duke was. A team led by the best player in the country and not enough behind him. Isaiah Evans had 7 points. Are you actually surprised? Malik Brown started this basketball game and did not score in this basketball game. If you want to tell me that the whole season flipped because Gungba and Foster were injured, I'm not going to act like it's a nothing. But Foster and Gungba are not a pair of lottery talents, right? Like last year's Duke team that had Cooper Flagg and then a bunch more lottery talent level guys. So, again, they lost by 1. This Duke team lost 3 games by one, and then at the buzzer by 3. They're obviously incredible, but I didn't think they'd close the door. They're not going to close the door.
And John Shire out here, like a lot of talent, not cashing in those tickets here. We'll see what happens there down at Duke, but they'll probably reload with multiple 5-stars, and away they go. And which way they're going to blow another lead next year in the tournament, Kevin. Let's flip it over to the association tonight. The Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Dallas Mavericks on the road. T-Wolves, 7-point favorites at just about every outlet here in a total of 236.5. The association getting closer and closer to the playoffs. Mavericks, T-Wolves tonight.
Yeah, speaking of Duke, Cooper Flagg is looking to push towards that Rookie of the Year race with Knipple, but the team's success is just probably, plus games played, all in all, will probably bury Flagg. He scored 24-plus now in 3 straight. He's done that, though, on phenomenal efficiency, 55% from the floor over the last 3 games. I actually think the Flagg under 22.5 is worth a look here. The Wolves at their best are a defensive team who will make it hard for Cooper to score on the interior. Only one other time in his young career has he scored 23-plus points in 4 consecutive games, and that's when he was on a score of scoring like 30 on a nightly basis here. That's not the exact level that we have for Flagg right now. So I'm looking at an under for Cooper Flagg here going up against Minnesota.
All right.
And Yankees, Seattle tonight here. Kev, could not have started better for the Yankees this season. What are we getting tonight with Castillo on the mound?
You know, it's interesting, but this number somewhat, there are some people I spoke to who are like, you are not giving Ryan Weathers enough credit. I swear to you, he's good. But I still remember the world where Ryan Weathers had a stretch where he was pitching to about a 4.4 ERA. And that was covering up for someone who should have been pitching to about a 9 ERA. So, to me, I'm curious, is this number, hey, Ryan Weathers isn't that bad. Seattle maybe not as good as everybody thought. Luis Castillo, Ryan Weathers, and the game is basically picked for what are supposed to be the 2 best teams in the American League. So, I think the number tells a story here tonight. We'll see if Cal Raleigh can muster up more than just a hit in this series.
Yep, went back and forth last year with Kevin, and he was always telling me, look, Raleigh's the best player in the American League.
Certainly
it's not
never
Aaron
happened.
Judge. Maybe it plays out tonight, people. That's Kevin Walsh. Check him out on Game Time Decisions tonight, 6 p.m. on the SportsGrid Network. Tiger Woods, y'all. If you guys have been living under a rock, have you heard the latest on Tiger Woods? And you might be thinking, like, wait a second, is this getting replayed from just a few short years ago? No, it's not. Down in Jupiter, Florida, overturning your car in the middle afternoon usually says one of two things. You're on your cell phone not paying attention, or you're blitzed or bombed out of your mind. Tiger Woods has been charged with driving under the influence after a car crash in Florida. Joe, not the first time we've seen this before. Charged with DUI. Did the breathalyzer test because he's trying to be smart. On, look, I know I don't really drink, so I'll blow that, and then I'll just decline everything else. They're not getting away with that now. So the minute you decline that other test, Joe, yeah, you're getting charged with a Dewey right there.
Donnie, I mean, I can't even begin to explain to people how ridiculously exclusive this area that he's in, where he lives on Jupiter Island, that has no hills, there's no reason to flip your car. And you know what else there's not, Donnie? Listen, you can pop all the pain pills you want, drink all you want at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? There is absolutely no excuse to have that much money and you drive anywhere anymore. Absolutely not. Call an Uber, get your driver, have the limo pulled up. What in the world are you? I never understood this, Donnie. All that money, I would literally never drive again, ever.
No, and it's clear. Again, we don't know the extent of it here, but you can just, common people can put 2 and 2 together to see exactly what's going on. I always thought it was interesting, Joe, the last one where he basically ran off the road going like 80 miles an hour into 25, and the cop's like, no, in the middle of the afternoon, why would we give him a sobriety test? Look, there's 2 things that happen. You crash your car in the middle of the afternoon when nobody's around, something is wrong. You crash your car at 2:30 in the morning when nobody's around, something's probably wrong. They did him a disservice as opposed to charging him back then. So at least maybe this helps him out, not only for himself, but the people that you're driving on the road with here. Maybe it finally could be a wake-up call where this DUI does stick, but he's going to have the best lawyers. They're going to drop it down for some technicality, and he's going to be out there being a menace again. Just get some help. And as Joe points out, you're a billionaire. Just get somebody to drive you around. It's so simple at this point now.
Yep.
It's an easy fix. Let's see if it happens. But now, let's reach out to the public here, see what they're digging on. Here's our Fade the Public poll. How about this? We got a pretty good one here. At SportsGrid, what is your national championship matchup prediction? Illinois, Arizona, Michigan, Illinois, UConn, Michigan, or Arizona, UConn? Pretty even split right down the board, Joe, with Arizona and UConn as the current favorite now.
And these have to be the 4 biggest teams that we have seen, Donnie. I mean, the average height on these teams is like 6'10", 6'11". Yeah. Like there are some huge kids on all of these teams here. And listen, I think Michigan and UConn is not a bad look here because Michigan, Illinois, we'd have to spend the entire offseason talking about how the Big Ten is the greatest conference ever been put together in college basketball history. So, let the Big East represent in the finals, will you?
That's going to be a good one. We'll all be watching the Final Four and then the championship game that following Monday, and away we go. But now it's time to start the week in style with some best bets. Here's bye. New week, new money, as we like to say. Joe, lead the way. We got Major League Baseball, we got hockey, got NBA. You got everything you need to cash in some tickets. Where are you going tonight?
Well, I got to tell you, Donnie, I'm going to the early game because when Chris Bubich is your 4th starter, my goodness, do you have you've got an abundance of starting pitching apparently, because Bubich, by the way, ever since he came back from Tommy John surgery back in 2024, 3rd best in the American League among starters with ERA at a 2.58. The guy has been absolutely lights out. He's a number 1, Donnie, on just about every other Major League Baseball team here. And yet he gets to go up against Simeon Woods Richardson and what we all know is going to be the worst team in the American League in the Minnesota Twins. At home, I'll take the better pitcher. I'll take the better team. And that's the Kansas City Royals.
Going over to the association tonight on a Monday. We talked a lot this show already about those Boston Celtics with their 50th win, heading to the playoffs, the favorites to win the East. But how about this? The Celtics overnight were a 1-point favorite here against the Atlanta Hawks. No longer the case. The Hawks are now a favorite by -1, despite Joe only having about 20% of the early tickets coming in. For me, it's a public fade today. I'm taking the Hawks -1. Nobody, Joe, wants to take the Hawks here tonight. But you know what? Your boy DRS, He's taking the Hawks tonight. Baseball mixed in with a little NBA to start the week 2-0. That sounds like where we're going, Joe.
It sounds like we've got a plan here, Donnie. Second of a back-to-back here. I'm with you, Donnie. I 2-0. It's a sweep coming.
I'll tell you what else is coming up here. Prediction Markets Edge on the early line. Don't you go anywhere.
I wait until I get the tournament bracket. Then you'll see me start to talk about who makes a run, who's right to get picked off. You go back to last year, look at St. John's, right? They were on a roll. They got Arkansas, who was a better version of St. John's.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
You know, you don't usually get Alabama basketball booked at less than 160. You're getting that now here. The real question is Aiden Holloway done for the tournament for an Alabama team who, you know, we've seen under Nate Oates, they're more than capable of getting themselves to a Sweet 16 and Elite 8 and maybe even beyond that.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
9+ sounds pretty good here, Donnie, at around even money, right?
Ooh.
I got no problem there, trading at 54 cents. And again, all the pressure is on the higher seeds and the favorites, right? Start getting into that 4 or 5 minute mark in the second half, and you're down double digits. Some teams, it does not get better, Donnie. They don't pull themselves up off the court.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
NBA Central sent out a tweet yesterday. Hornets announcer Eric Collins says Jalen Duren is one of his favorite players to watch. Quote, I like talking about that body of his cut up like coleslaw, end quote. Interesting.
Yeah. Not quite sure what the reference to coleslaw is. No idea, Donnie. I have no idea.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.